Welcome to Winning in the Margins with Jeff and Jamion. Jeff, great to see you today. How are you?
Jamion, man, doing good. How are you this morning?
Great, man. I know we're both on fire, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. What I want to talk about today is responsibility or leadership when things go wrong.
That's a good one, man. That's the difference maker. Big difference maker.
Yeah, it's a few things. Number one, you're a successful business owner who's expanding your business and finding ways to be creative with it on a day-to-day basis. And then we're kind of watching the NFL hiring cycle right now, and you're watching really good coaches or really good coordinators getting fired when they've had good offensive years and maybe just didn't play well in the playoffs. And so it just made me think about, like, what's the responsibility of leadership when things just don't go as planned? And what are some things that we can do to make sure that we're accepting responsibility, assessing the situation, but also consistently helping our program get better?
I love this topic. Let's start, Jamie. Tell us what your thoughts are, man. You came this morning and you're like, hey, there's folks getting fired. Is that the right answer? What are you thinking this morning?
I think it's interesting. So every year I've tried to be better with the assessing of our season. The first assessment, I think, is, did we get the most out of our team? Because there's some years where you might have a 20-win team and you might win 10, right? I mean, all right, that was a year we underachieved. But there's some years where your talent is a 10 or 12-win team and you win 18. At the end of the day, it's like, did we do the most with the talent that we had in the room? And the situations that present themselves through the year, you're going to have injuries. You're going to have guys become disgruntled. You're going to have things happen. Deaths in the family affect teams at a bigger level than people think. And so really, when you get to the end of the year without emotion, and I always tell coaches when I'm consulting with them, give it a week. The day after the season is a little aggressive. Give it a week. And then let's go through this kind of assessment process. And it starts with the first question: did we get the most out of the people that we had here?
How do you determine whether you got the most out of the people?
Well, I think it's just an honest assessment of who those people are. A lot of times, we're recruiting a roster of players, right? And, you have a guy who might average 15 a game as a sophomore. Typically the first big jump is about 20%. So a freshman will usually, in our system, will jump 20% in his second year with us. That's a pretty big number. That's a number that we use every year. And it doesn't mean that a guy improves 20% in almost every area. And we've done that over research over 10 years. Okay. But that jump as a sophomore to a junior is usually a little bit smaller. You might go from 15 points to 17 points, or you might go 15 to 13, but you shoot a higher percentage in three and make better decisions, right? And so it's just really having an honest assessment of the ability of each person in the organization and what they're capable of giving and what they're capable of creating beyond the baseline of what you've seen so far. I do think that honest assessment is challenging. Coaches are by nature dreamers. You're looking at, you had someone come in there and work out with you today, and you're looking at the person you're working with and you're seeing everything that they can become. That's the nature of it. That's what drives you as a coach, is allowing someone to have some kind of victory that they've worked for, but maybe didn't anticipate the emotion behind it. That's the most fun about it. So I would say trying to not be a dreamer, but also be so committed to that person's process to improve, I think is really important as you're doing your assessment.
And I think the yin and the yang, I believe, I'm going to rephrase that, because think is, but I believe, and to believe is to know that there's a yin and a yang to that. Got to constantly dream, and then put the character, it all starts with the character of the team. And you're talking about, why are people being let go that had led successful offensive teams or successful defensive teams that maybe came up a little short on the defense? Well, I don't believe a lot of teams know their character. And so they're basing it on the scoreboard of wins and losses, on statistics. And the character of the team is what takes care of the wins and losses, or falling out early in the playoffs as compared to making a run that maybe you weren't even supposed to make. I believe it begins and ends with love, and you either are full in love or you're empty in love. It's about, you take a team where Coach Tom, my partner here, he's wrestling coach at our local high school, and I'm the strength and conditioning guy, and come in and assist him on some technique along with the head coach, Coach Dave. And man, we got a rookie team this year, but the progress that we're making is amazing. And you see that progress not in wins and losses. You see it in the way that the kids start to love one another, in the way that they start to fight to come to practice, in the way that they begin to develop and go from being asked, hey, let's get here, to already being there. You're in the weight room 230. Well, now we're in there 225 and we're ready to rock. You're doing your dynamic warm up. Once you hit, hey guys, now we're not asking them to line up anymore. You're just taking it under their wing. Now, in intense practice, we're finding the guys looking at each other and smile and high five and development. Now, at the end of the day, that does transfer over to wins and losses. It does transfer over to victories in the third period when we were down by 5, down by 7, getting thrown all around in the first 2 periods. And I believe that we mistake wins and losses, and we replace love with wins and losses. It's love that we're seeking. Love is hardworking. Love believes and makes adjustments, and love sticks together. So the coaches that are on their way out, I even heard Eric Bieniemy. I was an Eric Bieniemy guy. Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but from when he was University of Colorado, I had an aunt that was living out in University of Colorado. So when he was in college doing his thing out there, I was University of Colorado, and he was lighting up the fields. Now I hear, and I don't know if it's coming from him or just news people putting it out, looking for other offensive coordinator jobs, looking for a head coaching job. But it's the reasoning I'm going with Eric Bieniemy. I heard he's supposed to interview here in Baltimore to be the offensive coordinator. But this is the part that, like, it empties my heart. It empties my heart. And there's so much distraction to this thought process. Well, he's loaded in Kansas City. He's got 2 of the best playmakers, and he wants to prove that he's a great offensive coordinator. Sometimes it's your role, man, and you just end up with gifts such as a good quarterback, such as a good wide receiver, and you put the other pieces to the puzzle. But, take Shaq and Kobe years back. They wanted to prove what they could do without each other, and they had a gift with each other. And so I believe, wrapping this part of the conversation up, that we're so lost in trying to prove who we are that we forget to be a part of the team. And then at the end of the year, we're losing games that we should be winning because we're trying to prove what we can bring to the table. And then we have one more little step that next year could be coming, but we're in such a hurry to get rid of rather than to continue to develop, that we end up taking a good thing and watering it down. And I believe that that's why there's so much shift. This world that we live in today is taught to be so fast and so selfish. I need to be part of this. I need to be part of that. Or this person's not good enough. They need to be gone. And we just need to be talking development, Jamion.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's, when I look at it, it's funny. I mean, you use the word love. And when you think about love, number one, love, there's a couple layers of love. Number one, love of oneself. Love of oneself is important because if you're able to love yourself, the good and the bad, and you don't judge the bad over the good. You're just at a neutral form with that. And I think, we work with a lot of different clients that are trying to learn how to love themselves, not judge themselves. It's not fist and fury, it's understanding and care. And so I think that's the first level of love, is loving oneself. The second layer is learning how to love others and how they need to be loved, not loving them how you want to love them. Many times we're trying to love people in the way that I want to receive love, but they may not see it as love. So having enough care and understanding to know what this other person across from me needs to feel and to be loved, and having enough awareness to step outside of your own shell to give. In the Bible, love is patient, love is kind, but both those emotions require awareness. So having that awareness within your group is important. And then I think what's really important, when you have two major factors are positive. I think the third for me is something I always call abusive love. And so what breaks down so many different relationships is really one person is abusing the love of another. And there's really no way to balance that back out. Right. And so, on a really simple way of looking at it, it's like you're a teammate with someone and you really care about them, but you're constantly using them because they want your approval and they want your approval. So you constantly use them for rides or things that they're constantly giving to you, and you're not consciously giving them the love back that they need. So I call that like abusive love. I think there's no bigger sin in life than the abuse of love. And I think so many things that we work through in life, whether it's from our childhood or bad relationships, are just as abusive love, and why someone didn't love us the way that we cared for them. So when we talk about love, I think all those kind of dynamics are happening within a team dynamic. And I think love being the fuel, like I actually put something down this weekend, appreciation and trust create love. Love cultivates an unbreakable energy. Unbreakable energy powers resiliency.
Say it one more time.
So appreciation and trust create love. And we can go through appreciation and trust. So there's a lot of layers in there. Appreciation and trust create love. Love cultivates unbreakable energy. Unbreakable energy powers resiliency.
Yeah.
Right. And so just recognizing, you need all those different layers to get to resiliency. And we all understand that resiliency is the way to be at our very best.
I love where you took that, in regards to love is understanding and care. Love is patient. Love is kind. And, as coaches and as leaders, sometimes oftentimes we need to look at the people within our room and see that there's been misled love.
Yeah.
Maybe it's from coaches to teachers to parents, we're doing the best we can, but we take our history and we bring that into others. If we're not continuing to develop, we take that and we pour it into others. If we're not continuing to develop, you take this same team, this wrestling team that's peaking right now. Who knows where we're going to end up? It's going to be really neat taking a bunch of rookies and then seeing how far we can go. We're weeks away from heading into our UCBAC tournament, which is our local conference tournament, and then regionals, and then states. And you take the beginning of the year, man, there were some moans, there were some groans, a lot of disrespect, eye rolling. Why do I have to do this? Why do I have to do that? Now, if I'm loving you, not abusively, I'm challenging you to respect yourself. I'm challenging you to give your best. We mistake what you said in regards to you have to love somebody the way that they want to be loved, into thinking that means when they tell us, I don't like this or I don't like that means we've got to love them in the way that what they're saying they like and don't like. But we're misled so fast in this life that we have to be aware that most people don't even know what love is.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to give your everything before you even understand love. You have to be willing to see, to make progress and to believe progress is going to be had by your teammate. You do that together, you capture love. And so you fast forward that, the eye rolling, the rudeness, that I can barely open my mouth. Fast forward 3.5 months. Hey, what's up, coach? How you doing, coach? They're greeting each other with love. They're excited to get after it. And so sometimes we have to unbecome everything that we learned up to this point to become everything that is capable of bringing about love.
Yeah, I mean,
And,
a
and,
lot of
and, and
times,
then, Jamie, I want to wrap that up with this. And then there is no abusive love, because abusive love isn't love at all. It doesn't mean we're not going to have weaknesses and we're not going to have strengths, but we're going to own them. We're going to work through them. We're going to develop them. We're going to believe in one another. Sometimes a coach is going to demand one's best, and they're going to think that that coach or that leader or that teacher isn't providing love at all, when they're the first person that's ever believed in them. Does that make sense to you?
yeah, absolutely. And it starts with your foundation of love usually comes from a parental figure, and no one's going to love us like our parents.
And depending on how that parent loved us,
yeah,
the love could be misconstrued, right?
Right. When I talk about this love, I'm like, I talk about it like corporate people. It's like love is such a heavy word. And I think, yes, it is, but it's because it means so many different things to so many different people. It looks differently to everyone. It looks differently for everyone's perspective or what they've been able to go through, what they've been able to experience. Yeah. And that's why this understanding of how another person needs to be loved and understanding how you need to be loved, you can mix match that puzzle however you need to mix match that puzzle if everyone has that level of awareness. And it's not putting the things that I've experienced onto you, but it's you having an appreciation for that. And I think that's really valuable in a team. Like I saw that the Bengals had a play at the end of their game where the guy pushed the quarterback and they moved 15 yards into field goal territory last night. They kicked the field goal. They lose the game. The Bengals don't go to the Super Bowl. And after the game, the guy is completely distraught. I mean, as soon as he did it, he knew he'd made a mistake. I don't think he did it on purpose. I think he was just playing really, really hard in the moment and trying to get to Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I agree. I saw that play. Right? I agree.
And there's a scene where he's going into the locker room and one of his teammates is yelling at him for pushing the quarterback or touching the quarterback or whatever. And there's emotions that are happening in that situation, obviously. But I just think, wow, like what a lack of understanding what that person is going through, and it's really hard to win at the highest level if you lack empathy for others.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that how you're feeling emotionally, he should feel that way. He should feel like, man, I can't believe this guy pushed a quarterback. But to then go on to verbalize that to inflict pain in someone else, right? That's obviously that's not love.
That's a great opportunity for development.
Correct.
And, the guy was distraught, sitting on the sidelines, crying, I believe. And I didn't see the part that you're talking about, but you take that team. I don't watch much. I don't watch much, but I pay attention to what I'm looking to take into a leadership role. And I know that I believe that Joe Burrow is quite a leader. I believe he's a believer, no matter what part of the game. So, I tuned into yesterday's game. I wanted to watch how he led and how things roll. And you take that Cincinnati team, the guy, number 58, I don't know his name, but he, clearly a team. Like he's a teammate. Yeah. He did not, it was a mistake. And so we take that, we keep our team together. We come back next year and we dominate, or we rip our team apart. We divide and we take what's been built up so strong and we tear it away little by little. Man, there are going to be mistakes, and that guy could make the same mistake next year. That seems to be the way that we humans live. My weaknesses that I've had since I was, 13, 14, I still have them today. I don't want them, but I have them. But my goodness, do I want a teammate that builds me up, that gets me back on track as fast as I possibly can when I fall off or when I falter. And I've never met anyone or been a part of any team that didn't want someone looking them in the eyes and saying, hey, it's all right. We got this. We got your back. You guys are offense. You'll be back on the field. Defense, cover us, man. We threw that interception. Our back, hey, cover us. Get us back on the field. We got this together. You know, you go back to, what was it, opening round of playoffs. 4 interceptions the quarterback for the Jaguars threw.
Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence. My goodness, man, he didn't waver. Now who was it? His quarterback's coach staying in his ear? Was it development from, you know, the time he was growing up with his parents? Was it his receivers believing in him? Linemen? Was it him? And then people just, hey, let's keep going. Was it a culture that's been cultivated all year long? Who knows?
It's funny. I
told distraction that stopped that train from keeping on coming. There was only love.
Yeah, I said this. You know, like Trevor Lawrence had 4 interceptions in the first half of the game, and he had no fear that he was going to be taken out of the game.
I love that.
And there was no fear on that roster that they weren't going to be able to come back. You know, when you're watching these teams play, when you're watching the best, if you make it to the playoffs, I'm going to say you're the best. And you're watching the worst teams, the level of belief that's powered by love from the best teams is through the roof. And the power and the lack of love that leads into a lack of belief on the worst teams. And I don't think it's just because teams, when like we watch Hard Knocks every year, beginning of the year, and you can tell at the beginning of the year that if that team has a chance to really win or not, because you can tell if the belief in the building is real.
Yeah.
You know, most of the time the belief isn't there. It's like, you know, guys are playing for a contract. They're playing for something different. They're not playing for something bigger than themselves. You get that feeling, you get that vibe. And so like love being the catalyst, being the gasoline in the car, that is so important to be able to get to where you want to go to. That intentionality of how it's going to be handled. You know, Detroit Lions this year were on Hard Knocks early in the year. They got off to a really slow start this year. Their owner comes out and she goes, "We're not firing our head coach. We're sticking by it. We're sticking through this process." And then this is the middle of the year. They end up being a game short of the playoffs, but they go on an incredible run. And I just think, like, you know, like you said, there was an opportunity for that teammate when they're going in the locker room to build up and to build character and to grow stronger. That owner for the Lions, Trevor Lawrence's teammates, and how they're cultivating that, those teams are getting better because of that. And the Bengals had an opportunity to get better. And in that moment, they just didn't. And what I was going to say earlier is the breakthrough comes when we least expect it. And as leaders, we can't let our emotion get in the way of development. And so many times, because I'm emotional, I'm going to say something or do something that's going to push this person's development back 3, 4 to 5 steps. And so can I unemotionally assess the situation, assess what's needed to allow the person in front of me to take a step forward instead of 3 to 4 steps back? I think in that moment we're talking about yesterday, their teammate did not allow them to take a step forward.
Yeah. I love a couple points. I'm going to come back to them. You know, you're talking about the teammate, and who knows if the Bengals don't have amazing character. But with amazing character, we're not going to be perfect. You're going to be emotional. You're going to get emotional. But what's our character? You know, if we are emotional on the field and I yell at my player, I'm like, "What are you doing, man? Like, we could have taken this game into overtime. What are you doing?" And the guy's already distraught. He's already beating himself down. But fast forward 15 minutes, fast forward 30 minutes, because we really don't know a family. A family is in their home. A family does life their way. What if their character is to be one and they walk back out and 2 people were emotional? One because he made a play and so I'm crying. Another, maybe his weakness is anger. Maybe his weakness is, but we have character, and our character is togetherness. Our character is to love. And so we walk back. What if there was a moment we didn't see where that same man walked up and said, "Hey, brother, I love you. I know you gave your best. We're coming at him next. We're coming at him next year." You know, we see a lot of things on video that might not be representative. I know if I were recorded all the time, there's going to be things that people are like, what is he talking about? He stands for this stuff he says he stands for. I stand for it. but I fall from it regularly. But it's my character. It's who I want to be. It's the type of team I want to be around. And so we're going to get back to it, even if we falter from it. And I hope that that's the case, because the Bengals have made some major progress in the last couple of years. And I have to believe it's a direct correlation to their character.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for.
And then Jamion, if I can, man, no fear, I'm not coming back out. My goodness, if you and I are teammates, and I know we're teammates, I don't know that I'm teammates I don't know if I'm perfect, if I don't mess up, if I don't get emotional, if I don't say the wrong thing. Like, I just know we're teammates. That's love, man. If I know you have my back and we're coming back, we're coming back the next game. We're coming back the next play. We're going to work through. We're going to make the adjustments. You're my guy, Jamion. Take the shot again. There's depth to that, man, that can't be described unless you get it. And there's only a few teams that do it like that. There's only a few outfits that do it like that compared to the number. There's millions of businesses, but there's 1% that do it with love. Yeah. Love is different. And so if millions do it, you very well could be taught to do it the opposite of the love way. Love wins, man, and it wins every time, and love believes.
I love that idea. No teammates if. We're going to come back and talk about that one on another show. Thanks for joining Jeff and Jamion on Winning in the Margins. We will see you next time.
Jamion, have a beautiful day, man.
You as well.